look like the penguin, man.
What's up, guys? Anthony Monetti, Project My Life. Always got to do a double check, make sure that's recording.
Check corner.
Very unprofessional, but I don't have a media crew just yet to do this full time. So, I'm here with Jeff. How do I say your name correctly, brother? Perkowski.
Yeah.
Jeff Perkowski. I always call him Jeff P.
However you like.
Yeah, I call him bro. That's really what I call him by. But we're doing a little check-in here. It's been 2 years since Jeff's been on board. 2 years since Jeff's been giving me the opportunity to be a part of his fitness journey, and quite possibly one of my favorite people to work with. I'm not just saying that. Yeah, even though you're probably the most challenging. But you're the most challenging to work with because of repetitive questions.
Yes.
But with that said, is the most rewarding because I can look at you right now and we can reflect on your journey.
Yeah.
And you're coachable, which is one of the things I've been talking about a lot lately is being coachable. Some people will hire a personal trainer and just not be coachable. They'll give them money and expect them to do the work for them, or just expect results without putting the work in themselves, not taking responsibility for their own actions, and just kind of, throwing money at the problem, but not really fixing the problem with their own self. So it's been a work in progress, literally, not just physical, but mentally, emotionally, even spiritually.
Yes.
So we've done a couple podcasts. I think last year, actually earlier this year, we did a podcast.
This year,
You look nothing like this.
No.
So Jeff really hit his stride. I'll give you a little background. Jeff really hit his stride probably in the past 6 to 8 months this year.
Yep, I think so.
And you've been here how long?
Since April 22.
Okay, April 22. This is November of 24. So you're looking at 2.5 years.
Yeah, but then, like I said, I had shoulder and labrum surgery, and bicep torn or whatever. So that was 8 months. That was in July of 22. So that took me out 8 months. And then the beginning of this year, I lost 3 months because I got burned. So I couldn't, hold anything. So really, that's, I guess, when I started, picking up, was, May, 6 to 8 months, like you said.
It's awesome. So Jeff's a full-time fireman in Jersey City. And you, even before your burn and all that stuff that happened this year, your bicep, you have some of our pictures from the back. You have a major surgery in your spine.
Yeah. I had a thoracic spinal fusion. I had 4 of them. They didn't go well.
How long ago?
That was 17 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
What kind of, physical obviously, but what kind of mental impact did that have? You were a fireman then or no?
Yeah, I was a volunteer then.
Okay.
But it wasn't supposed to go down like it did. It was supposed to be a 7-hour operation, turned into 14 hours, and I was paralyzed from the waist down. So mentally, that hit huge. It was oh my God, all these things I want to do, thought I'm doing, are gonna do, was oh my God, I'm not doing any of it. It's gone. What am I gonna do now?
I thought your career was over.
I thought everything.
You were paralyzed
from the waist down. Yeah.
I can only imagine. I can't even imagine what that's like. So you were aware that you weren't able to.
I was aware, but I was on so many medications too, though. I really didn't fully understand. I think I could appreciate the gravity of it until a little bit of sensation came back, and then but it wasn't full. It was I got first 25% function in my left leg, and then the right leg wasn't coming back. So then they were well, maybe one day we can get you going with the walker, but you're always going to drag your leg. And
they said you're always going to, they said that on the spot.
Yeah.
I love how they just put these thoughts in your head. I say they, but teacher, preacher, father, mother, pastor, all these people in our lives that just, this is how it's going to be. It's no, right? So you could have really believed that. And at one point, I'm sure you were. Were?
Absolutely.
I'm not sure of it, but
if a doctor says this, it's it's like you said, it's coming from God. That's it.
So what changed? Because you went through therapy, and then all of a sudden you start getting.
Yeah, just luckily it slowly started coming back. Just on its own. Because I couldn't really do therapies and stuff like that. And then when it started coming back, I had to learn how to get out of bed. Like I couldn't get out, you know. So it was like they would come and work with me for like a half hour, just like trying like to sit up in bed at first, you know. So like I'd have to. It was funny. I'd have to like log roll on my right side, and then like use my legs to kick like this, and then to get up, I had to push with my left like that to sit up, you know. And of course, it hurt like hell because my back was all screwed up. You know, it was all fresh.
What was the initial issue that they were trying to fix?
I had scoliosis, 2 curves in the back. So it was just to like go in, and the idea was you basically straighten the spine, you put 2 rods in. So I have 2 rods, 19 screws, and then it was supposed to just like fuse on its own, like a broken bone, how it fuses. So that was the idea. So it would fuse, you know, and then like the hardware would essentially like, I don't need it. You know, like, because it's not holding it now. The bone is fused.
How? Right now it's fused?
Yeah, that's what they told me. I haven't checked in a while.
How was it holding you back before you went in? Like, what was it like, hey, I got scoliosis? Because a lot of people have scoliosis, and I can still see that from the backside, your spine is still, you know, and it hasn't, you're doing squats, you're building muscle, you're doing pull-ups, you're doing, like, you're running, you're athletic, you're a fireman. Yeah. So at what point was that, like, I can't do X, or was there pain involved that made you actually go for the surgery?
So my back always kind of bothered me, and like when they caught it when I was like 14, the orthopedist was like, "Oh, I want to put you in a brace, like a full clamshell brace. You're gonna wear it for 23 to 24 hours a day until you're 21." And I'm like, "Fuck that! Like, no, I play football, I play baseball. I don't want to go walking around. Everyone would be knocking on my turtle shell, you know."
So you didn't have any pain. It was like, oh, you went for...
No, it was just like on September 11th, 2001, I went, about a week earlier, I went for a physical for my doctor. And you know how they tell you, like, to check your back, you know, in school? Yeah. Like, the doctor did that, and he's like, "Oh, you're having a small curve in your back, let's get x-rays." So September 11th, 2001 is the day I went for the x-rays. Yeah.
You have a small curve in your spine. Let's go for X-rays.
Let's just check it.
And that led to you need surgery to fuse your spine. Yeah. Dude, do your own research, and you know, sometimes surgery is definitely necessary, but that caused you a lot of pain and angst that I don't think was fully necessary, because I mean it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's not stopping you now, and maybe you needed to go through that. I have no idea about destiny and all that stuff, but that just seems like it's a little bit, you know, over the top, especially if you weren't having any pain.
Yeah.
Anyway, so good stuff, man. You pulled through that, and then you became a fireman.
Yeah.
And, you know, at what point did this guy show up?
So I had torn my labrum again, I want to say in like 2012. And for whatever reason, I never was like, I could eat what I wanted when I was just turned like 22, I think, when I tore my right labrum. And for whatever reason, after that surgery, I don't know, maybe I just got really lazy. And then I noticed I put on a little bit of weight. And then, like, the ball just started rolling with the weight. And I was like, oh, it's 5 pounds. I'm getting older anyway. Like, you know, I'm not a teenager anymore. It's normal. And then I started seeing a belly. And I was like, oh, no. And then, like, I just didn't really do anything.
Were you working out at the time or no?
I was working out consistently up until the shoulder, and then I rehabbed the shoulder and everything was great, and then I think I just kind of took it for granted that the shoulder was better. And I'm like, I always had this thing in my mind like, oh yeah, I'll next week start and everything, you know, and I'll get back on where I need to be, and like, oh, I'm only like 20 pounds over what I want to be, so I could get back 20 pounds, no problem. And then, you know, a couple months, I'm like, oh, I'm 30 away, like, I'm not doing this. And then I would get like, I'd beat up on myself, you know?
You have a strong mental switch, one way or the other, you know?
Yeah, it's on or off, yeah.
I think a lot of us do. I've seen it more predominantly in your journey the past, you know, like I said, 6 to 8 months. I've seen the opposite of that. But even the first year, you were like, you were showing up, but something wasn't clicking.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it was. So long story short, that was what year?
22. early.
You were 22, or
early 2022.
2022. So Jeff walks into Vitamin Shop.
Yeah.
Tell us about that. That's how we met Jeff. But
yeah, so
indirectly.
It was I had worked a Saturday, so I was getting off on a Sunday morning, and it was like 9 o'clock, and I was coming to the Somerville Circle. And
that was the day you were like, I'm making a change.
I'm just disgusted with myself, and I'm like, I'm going to the Vitamin Shop. I'm gonna buy whey protein. I'm gonna start doing push-ups and curls, and I'm gonna drink to my protein, and I'm gonna snap it all together,
dude. But that's motivation. I talk about motivation. You are motivated to make a change. You need that. It's not only discipline, right? Like people will say that it's not motivation, it's discipline, but you need to have some motivation to build momentum in order for you to build your discipline muscle, right? 100%. So you were motivated. You walked in there for protein, and what happened?
Yeah, and so the guy that was working was like, "Well, what are you getting this for? Like, what's your goal?"
Randomly, he asked you that?
Yeah, as I was checking out. And I'm like, I gotta lose weight, man. I gotta get back in shape. I used to be in good shape when I was younger, in my 20s and stuff. And he goes, well, look, I'm gonna give you a phone number and 2 people. You gotta call them. And they're right here in Somerville. And he's like, trust me, I've sent people to them before. They're awesome. They'll help you through your journey.
Shout out to Dave over at Vitamin Shop in Raritan. I mean,
that's
because
wild.
Crossing paths like that. I mean, we know Dave for a while. He's super intelligent and always have great conversations. And we vibe on the same things with health and just fitness and all this stuff. So I appreciate him recommending you.
Me too.
But even asking that question, like, what are you doing this for, right? So most people just start like that as well. Yeah. But they never get to this. They never get to the end result, or at least, make progress. Yeah. I say most because I've been doing this, for 3 decades now, and I've seen people come in and out of the gym with that intentions. Now we're heading into the holidays. We're heading into January. I'm buying new protein. I'm getting new sneakers. I'm getting a new outfit. I'm buying a gym membership, or I'm getting access to an app, or I'm hiring a personal trainer. And then they start. Yeah. But sometimes they don't even go the personal trainer route. They just start on their own like that. Yeah. But awesome. So you came here June of April of 2022. Yeah. And you weighed 250 pounds starting that. And you were bouncing back in here from like 250, you lost a couple, then you gained a couple, then you lost a couple, then you gained a couple.
And I think it's like goes back to what you said. It was like I had my toes in the water, but like I don't know what it was. I don't know, maybe like I just didn't believe I could do it myself. It's not like I didn't believe what you guys were telling me was the right thing. It was like, this just isn't going to work for me. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, I think maybe that was it.
It's a lot of that. I think most people, again, I say most, I'm not saying all, but a lot of people don't believe in themselves enough, or they'll look at this and be like, I don't want to look like that. That's too skinny. And then and they already discount it because they already know that they're not going to be able to do the things necessary to get there. Right. But by you believing in it, and again, I'm appreciative, I'm grateful for you continuing to show up and ask questions. But what was the time where you were like, I'm not going to just tap my foot in the water right now, I'm going to go all in? Yeah. What was the change? What was the breaking point?
It was, I just got to a point where I want to say 6 to 8 months ago, I don't know, like Mayish, and I was just like, man, like I got rid of like 20, 30 pounds, but I'm like, there's still like this disgusting stuff hanging on that I just can't, why is it not going anywhere? So like, I just kind of look and I'm like, I track my food, but I could do a way better job. And I mean, I probably could eat even better than what I'm doing, you know? So I'm like, so that's one thing. And then I'm like, my workouts are good, but like, I'm not working out like a program consistently where like I'm in it, you know, like mentally, physically in it. So I'm like, let me really buckle down. Like, and I was to the point I told you I was going to take, like, see if Ozempic worked or something, you know?
I love that.
I'll admit it. I was like, fuck, man, something's got to work.
That was recently. That was like 6 months ago,
That was like 6, 8 months ago, yeah. And then, you know, we talked about it, and I'm like, that's a dumb idea.
Look, I'm not shitting on those pills. I think they're necessary for the right person at the right time. I do. I fully believe that there's a right time and place for those things.
Yeah.
With that said, I know that I keep on saying most. I'm using that broad term right now, but a lot of people can benefit from just sticking to the very basic stuff and getting really good at it, and your results will show up. And I've never been one to try to promise a quick fix. I mean, I told you early on, like, dude, you got some work ahead of you. It's going to take time, but if you're willing to go through the work, you're willing to build lasting results now, and you don't have to, ever go back to this guy. And again, now that we're talking about that guy, I don't want you to be beating that guy up, because every time I show you a picture of that, you're like, ugh. And I think part of it is okay to look at that and be like, wow, I was really not in a good place, right? Yeah. But not be disgusted by that guy, because that guy was trying, man. He just didn't know what was capable. You know what I mean? Do you get upset looking at that?
I just it's like, where were you? What was going on?
What's the biggest change that you've seen besides physical? Then you look at that guy.
I'm more committed. I mean,
how about mentally and emotionally?
Definitely, like, mentally I'm like in a better place with everything, because it's like I can accomplish these things that I want to do. Like, and then the big thing, like, I've learned that you've kept pushing was like the patience aspect, which I have none of, but now I have a little bit of it, and that helps where, like, emotionally, if I want to see, like, I don't know, if I'm in a bad mood or something, like before, like, this guy would be like, all right, well, whatever, I'll just, like, eat crappy, or it's not as important to me right now.
Make it worse,
yeah. And then that would make me feel like a bigger piece of shit, so just like, and then I would do that, and I'm like, I know I'm not supposed to, and then I feel like a bigger piece of shit.
Yeah.
So now it's like, well, if I'm patient and I put in the work, it takes time, but then you start to see a little bit of a result, and you're like, well, this is working. And then you see a little more, and it just motivates you, like, like emotionally, like mentally, it makes you feel better, like, and the fact that, like, I'm doing something actively, not just, like, sitting back and hoping it works,
right? Or,
like, half-assing it with my toes in the water. Like, no, I'm in.
You're all in.
It's not this half anything. I'm in.
Is it sustainable?
100%.
Do you think so?
100%.
Because we talked about it when we were putting these side by sides together. You said, "Now I want to keep it."
I want to go further.
You want to go further? We're going to talk about potentially competing next year, which I think you should do. But
why did you smile when you said that?
No, because I think that's amazing, dude. I never thought we'd be at this point. I honestly have hope, but I didn't know if you would get to this point. This guy, the way you look right now, 183 pounds with 8.6% body fat. I didn't know you'd ever get to that. And I honestly, because there was a lot of times where I was like, man, is Jeff ever going to get it? And sometimes some people, I just never hear from them again because they give up and they never get to that breaking point. When you're going through shit and you don't see results, it's so difficult to stay faithful and stay hopeful and do the things that are necessary to get you to the goal. It's like either you break down or you break through. It's a very, very fine line. And I
see that, yeah.
I've learned that this year being a dad and trying, picking up the slack, and not picking up the slack, but rebuilding the business after I lost my partner. Karen's, a stay-at-home mom now, so I had to rebuild and restructure some stuff. It's like, dude, do I quit? Do I just walk away? Or is this the time that I'm really being tested to see what is capable, what I'm capable of?
Yeah.
Now, at some point, you can say, well, it's probably worth it for me to walk away, right? It was with some things.
Yeah,
but this, I don't know when that time is, but I'm happy that you didn't, and now it's a matter of how can I sustain that. So that's why my question is, do you think it's sustainable? Which, what you've built habits around your lifestyle now. You've built habits around eating healthy and training. So,
and that's why I want to say I think it's really sustainable, is because it's habitual now. Like, it's second nature to me. Like, I think about, like, what I'm putting in my mouth, how much I'm putting in my mouth, And like now, you know, I still could go, like, if I got a pizza, I want to eat the whole friggin' pizza, you know what I mean? But like,
you still feel that way.
But it's like, if I look down, like, in my stomach, I remember one day you were like, saying when you go to the grocery store, like, you know, look down, do you really need that? Like, you know?
It's remembering tomorrow. I was listening to a podcast last week. I tend to listen to one every morning just to get my mind in the right space. Jesse Itzler, I think his name is, but he was saying, remember tomorrow. Like, remember how you're going to feel tomorrow. And it's like weird. Like, what do you mean tomorrow didn't happen yet? How am I going to remember it? But you know how you're going to feel if you eat that whole piece of pizza or that whole pie. Mm-hmm. Or you know how you're going to feel if you don't.
Very true.
Waking up feeling good, feeling refreshed, feeling energetic, starting your day, be like, I'm so happy that I didn't do that.
Yeah.
Or, damn, I feel like shit. Why did I have to do that? Now, again, when you do it, I also want to, the other side of it is like, it's not the end of the world. Like, we're approaching the holidays, and you know, it's okay to eat a little bit extra on Thanksgiving because you're around good food, and you don't, you know, it's okay to celebrate a little bit. It's okay, but that's where the psychology becomes having a healthy relationship with this whole process.
Yeah. Because
you can't hate that guy, and you can't overly have confidence in this guy too much either.
I know.
And so you have to be mindful of like where you're at, and like that's why I call this whole thing project. It's a project. You're always working on it. You're always looking to improve, and you're always looking to get better. But that said, like, the sustainable habit, the habits that you're creating are sustainable for you to maintain that and go beyond.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. Do you, your next level, you're 8.6% body fat. I think you've built enough muscle where you feel comfortable with getting really chiseled and competing next year. I do. And competing isn't for everybody, but I do feel like there's a place for people who are committed, and you start seeing your body change.
Yeah.
Whether or not you want to do it again, maybe you don't even make it to the stage, but I'm going to say that you commit yourself and you do it for that reason that you were talking about earlier of being scared. You watching the MTV stuff, and
right?
You got 7 strangers judging you, but you look amazing right now. You feel good about yourself, but when you have others judging you, that's a whole different psychology. So you got to be mentally prepared for that. But I digress a little bit in talking about. I think everybody should actually get themselves to peak condition, especially if you're passionate about fitness and you enjoy fitness.
Yeah.
Diet down, make the sacrifices, do the work, get some pictures that you can always look back on, whether or not you want to do it ever again. It's not sustainable to get your body fat to 5-6%, but is it fun, and is it a testing time, and is it a strength and resilience building? Yeah. Absolutely. So I do recommend it. Anyway.
Just you talking about it gets me excited,
dude. I mean, because I think it's totally for me, I'm very comfortable. I don't even get nervous doing it anymore because I've been doing it for so long, and I've also gotten so many second places, and I've also lost so many times that I don't put too much weight in the judge's opinion of me. And I can do I'm also a judge too, so I can evaluate the lineup and be like, all right, I probably should have took third. Oh, wow, I took second? All right. I can evaluate myself honestly and say, all right, well, I didn't win, but I can see the guy who won winning.
Why?
Or I won, I can also see the guy who took second winning because I'm pretty honest with,
you're
evaluating myself.
Impartial to
I am.
How you view it.
Not in the past. And it takes years for me, understanding that like the judges aren't making my success. The trophies over there are great. They're cool, wonderful. The medals are great, but I put the work in. So that's what you're learning right now. That you're finally broke through. Now you're seeing the results. You were patient.
Yeah.
So now you have confidence to like, wow, what's possible now? What's really possible? Now your mind is kind of opened up to like, whoa, can I bring this down to like, 5% body fat and be really, really dialed in?
Yeah.
Cool, brother. So I'm gonna wrap this up so we can chat a few minutes on off the record about what your next step is. But guys, this is Jeff. Leave us with one word or piece of advice for viewers who may be struggling to keep this guy or to step out of that guy's skin. What would be some piece of advice for somebody?
I think the most important thing would be to step out of that guy's skin. And the biggest piece of advice is just believe that if you are patient and trust the process, you will get there. It took me 2 years, and I complained every day to Anthony. I'm not seeing results. And now I have results because I believed, I was patient, and just get started.
Love it.
Like,
Love it.
There's no perfect time to get started. New year, you gotta wait for the new year. No, just get in.
Do it now.
Yeah.
I love it, brother.
Yeah.
I love it because one of our things too is how do you build confidence and how do you build, like, this is how you do it. You do the things that you say you're gonna do. You show up for yourself.
Right.
And you get the results. And that's the easiest way to build confidence. Now you have confidence to use for your next obstacle that you're,
Yeah.
Because it's inevitable. You're going to face shit along your life.
No kidding.
Cool, man. All right. Believe in yourself. Trust the process. Practice patience. Take pride in your reps. And I'll see you on the gym floor. And maybe you'll see Jeff on stage next year. Let's go. Let's go.
Vote for me.
Vote for you.